So let's talk protein. When it comes to building muscle, the advice is, well, it's all over the place, right? You've got one person telling you to eat a mountain of protein. Another person says that's totally wrong. And then you've got all the bro science you hear at the gym. It's just plain confusing. So today, we're going to cut through all that noise and figure out what actually works.
You've probably heard this one before. You need 1.5 grams of protein per pound of your body weight. Now, for someone who's, say, 180 pounds, that's 270 grams of protein every single day. That's a ton of chicken breast.
But then, on the flip side, you've got the World Health Organization recommending just 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. For that same 180-pound person, that's only about 65 grams. That's a massive, massive difference. So what's the deal?
And just to stir the pot a little more, there's that classic gym rule you've definitely heard. Your body can only use about 20 to 25 grams of protein in one meal to max out the anabolic response, which is really just a fancy way of saying your body's muscle-building mode. The story goes that anything more than that is just wasted. Sound familiar?
Yep, it is totally enough to make your head spin. But don't worry, in this explainer, we are going to slice right through that confusion. We're going to give you a simple, science-backed framework. We're going to build a pyramid of priorities so you know exactly what to focus on and what you can pretty much ignore.
First things first, and listen, this is by far the most important piece of the entire puzzle, your total daily protein intake. This is the foundation of everything. Seriously, if you don't get this part right, nothing else we talk about is going to matter much.
Okay, so let's go back to that super low number from the World Health Organization. Here's the crucial thing you have to understand. That 0.8 grams per kilogram number, that's for the average sedentary person to just prevent being protein deficient. It's not designed to support, and it's certainly not designed to maximize muscle growth for people like us who are hitting the weights. For that, we definitely need more.
So how much more do we need? Well, as you can see right here, it really depends on your goal. If you're bulking, eating in a calorie surplus, the science points to a range of about 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilogram. But if you're cutting and you're in a deficit, you actually need more protein to protect that hard-earned muscle, somewhere between 1.8 and 2.7 grams per kilo. And for a body recomp, you're going to stick to those higher ranges too. Now check this out. If you look at the grams per pound column, that old rule of 1 gram per pound actually fits pretty nicely right in the middle of these ranges, so it's not a bad starting point at all. Now, if you happen to have a higher body fat percentage, calculating your protein based on your total weight can get a little skewed. So here's a brilliantly simple solution from researcher Eric Helms. Just aim for 1 gram of protein per centimeter of your height. So if you're 183 centimeters tall, that's about 6 feet, you'd aim for 183 grams of protein. It's a surprisingly accurate and super easy way to set your daily target. Okay, let's move up to the next level of our pyramid. You've got your daily total figured out. Awesome. But how should you spread that out during the day? Does it matter if you have 3 meals or 6? Let's find out. Now, this is where we have to clear up a really common misunderstanding. People always talk about how much protein you can absorb. The reality is, your body can absorb a massive amount of protein in one go. The real question isn't about absorption, it's about utilization. How much of that protein can your body actually use to build new muscle? That's the key. And that brings us right back to this old rule, the one that's been floating around gyms for like decades. This idea that there's this hard cap at around 20 or 25 grams per meal, and anything you eat beyond that is just poof, wasted. But here's what's really interesting. Newer research is totally challenging that idea. For instance, a 2016 study found that 40 grams of whey protein actually stimulated more muscle growth than 20 grams after a workout. And another study found a meal with 70 grams of protein from beef built more muscle than one with 35 grams. So yeah, it really seems like our bodies can use way more protein per meal than we used to think. So what's the bottom line here? It's this. Hitting your total daily protein number is so much more important than the exact amount in each meal. Sure, spreading your protein across, say, 3 to 5 meals is probably a good idea for digestion and keeping that muscle-building signal on. But if you hit your daily target, you will build muscle whether you do it in 2 meals or 6.
All right, now we're getting to the very top of our pyramid. These are the details you can start to focus on once your foundation is rock solid. We're talking protein quality and meal timing. This is the fine-tuning.
When we talk about protein quality, what we're really talking about is its amino acid profile, and specifically one amino acid called leucine. The easiest way to think about leucine is like a light switch. It's the trigger that literally flips on the whole muscle-building process in your body. And this table just illustrates that difference perfectly. Just take a look. To get that 3-gram leucine trigger, you only need about 29 grams of whey protein, which is just 145 calories. For chicken breast, it's about 40 grams of protein for 200 calories. But to get that same muscle-building trigger from something like whole wheat bread, you'd have to eat over 2,000 calories. This is exactly why animal sources and protein powders are so darn efficient for muscle growth.
Now let's talk about timing. For years, we were all told you had to slam a protein shake within 30 minutes of your last rep, or your whole workout was a waste. You remember this, right? Well, this whole idea of a super short anabolic window has been pretty much completely debunked. The reality is actually much more flexible. As long as your pre-workout meal and your post-workout meal are within a rough 4 to 6 hour window of each other, you're good. You're maximizing that muscle building response. The only real exception, if you train completely fasted. In that case, yeah, getting some protein in relatively soon after your workout is a smart move.
A more nuanced timing thing to consider is pre-sleep protein. There is some research that suggests having about 40 grams of a slow-digesting protein, like casein, before bed can boost muscle protein synthesis overnight. But it's worth noting that other studies have found no real difference when the person's total daily protein was already high. So again, it's a fine-tuning detail, not a game changer.
And finally, we have to address safety. A common worry you hear is that a high-protein diet is bad for your kidneys. But according to this definitive statement from the International Society of Sports Nutrition, there is zero evidence that high-protein intake poses any health risk to healthy, exercising people. In fact, it's been shown to have some pretty great health benefits.
So after all that, let's bring it all home. Let's put everything together into one simple, actionable model. This is your final answer to the whole protein puzzle. And here it is, the protein pyramid. The base, the absolute foundation that's responsible for over 90% of your results, is your total daily protein intake. Get that right first. The middle tier is your meal distribution. Spreading it out over 3 to 5 meals is probably best. And at the very top, for that last little 1%, you have the fine-tuning of protein quality and timing. Focus on the base before you even worry about the peak.
You now have the complete science-based blueprint for using protein to build muscle. The confusion is gone. It's replaced by a really clear picture of what actually matters. So the only question left is, how are you going to build your pyramid?